Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. 3 million pages of Epstein files being made public today, what the Justice Department says about this latest batch. President Trump says he's nominating former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh to be the next Fed chair. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested, what the Justice Department says about the arrest and the response from his attorney. On Capitol Hill, an overnight vote failed to gain steam. The delay means a partial government shutdown is expected to kick in at midnight tonight. The details on what caused this last-minute impasse. Luigi Mangioni will not face the death penalty for allegedly fatally shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A judge today dismissed 2 of the 4 federal counts against him. We have updates. An Indy car race on the streets of Washington, D.C. this summer. President Trump announcing the Freedom 250 Grand Prix to celebrate America's 250th anniversary.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. The latest batch of the Epstein files will be made public today. Here's Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche speaking from the Justice Department.
Today, we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. In total, that means that the department produced approximately 3.5 million pages in compliance with the Act.
Blanche said some of the files were not taken by Epstein or someone around him, but were found on Epstein's devices. The Justice Department said it did not release 6 million pages of files that contain either personal identification information of victims or depictions of child pornography, death, physical abuse, or injury. Blanche said they are protecting the identities of the victims by redacting the face of every woman except Ghislaine Maxwell. He added they did not remove any images of men unless it was impossible to remove the woman without redacting the man. Today's release came after President Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act last November. The department said it is committed to protecting victims of sex and human trafficking. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon was arrested by federal authorities. His attorney confirmed the arrest in a statement this morning. His attorney said Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents in Los Angeles while he was covering the Grammy Awards. In a post on X, Attorney General Pam Bondi said Lemon and 3 others were arrested, quote, in connection with the coordinated attack on cities, churches in St. Paul, Minnesota. Bondi said more details will be available soon. Lemon's attorney criticized the arrest as an attack on the First Amendment, saying that Lemon will fight the charges in court. Lemon live-streamed the protest that interrupted a church service last week. Lemon said he was at the demonstration as a journalist. He said he was tipped off ahead of time but did not know the activists would disrupt the service. The Trump administration condemned the protest and accused protesters of intimidating Christian worshippers. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem is responding to calls for her firing. She addressed criticism she's been facing since 2 fatal shootings by federal agents in Minneapolis, speaking to Fox News yesterday.
Well, these radicals are attacking me, but I'm just doing my job. I'm following the law, enforcing the laws like President Trump promised that he would do to keep people safe in this country. We're going to continue to go after these criminals.
Among those calling for her removal are House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and California Governor Gavin Newsom. 2 Republican senators, North Carolina's Tom Tillis and Alaska's Lisa Murkowski, have also called for her removal. President Trump has said he has no plans to fire Noem, telling reporters earlier this week she is doing a very good job. In her conversation on Fox yesterday, Noem also spoke about new videos that have emerged of Alex Preti, the man shot by agents last week. The videos show Preti 11 days before his death swearing at ICE agents and attacking their vehicle. Noem commented on Preti saying, quote, clearly there's a history there of attacking our law enforcement officers and our CBP and ICE officers. Anti-ICE demonstrations are expected across the country today, including a student walkout in New York City and a protest in Minneapolis. One organizer from the University of Minnesota's Black Student Union said the strike aims to build lasting momentum. The demonstrations come as border czar Tom Homan said immigration enforcement in Minneapolis could be scaled back. He said it would depend on cooperation from state and city officials in honoring ICE detainers. And a major update this morning from the White House. President Trump says he is nominating former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh to become the next chair of the central bank. In a Truth Social post hours ago, the president called Warsh a longtime friend and someone with deep experience in finance, including time working alongside billionaire investor Stanley Druckenmiller. Here's what Trump wrote. I have known Kevin for a long period of time and have no doubt that he will go down as one of the great Fed chairmen, maybe the best. On top of everything else, he is central casting and he will never let you down. This pick comes as the president has been sharply critical of current Fed Chair Jerome Powell, saying interest rates are too high and should come down by 2 to 3 percentage points, arguing the U.S. is paying too much to borrow. The nomination follows months of public speculation, with Warsh, White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett, Fed Governor Christopher Waller, and Wall Street's Rick Rader all being mentioned as potential picks. If confirmed by the Senate, Kevin Warsh could take over from Powell when his term ends in May. Warsh is no stranger to the Fed. He served on the Board of Governors from 2006 to 2011 and was the youngest person ever appointed to that position at just 35. Trump was talking about his Fed pick yesterday. Take a listen.
Just an outstanding person, and a person that won't be too surprising to people. A lot of people think that this is somebody that could have been there a few years ago. It's going to be somebody that is very respected, somebody that's known to everybody in the financial world, and I think it's going to be a very good choice. I hope so.
And in another post this morning, the president praised White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett, who's been one of the names floated as a potential Fed chair pick. Trump called Hassett's work outstanding, saying he's doing such a great job that he wants him to stay right where he is. And joining us now to discuss is E.J. Antony, chief economist at the Heritage Foundation. So good afternoon to you, E.J. Trump says Warsh will go down as one of the great Fed chairmen, maybe the best. Your initial reactions to this pick?
Well, I think once again, the president's right. Warsh is a fabulous pick for this role. I've had the pleasure to actually discuss monetary policy with him on several different occasions and go really in depth into the operations of the Fed, and not just discussing all of the different policy mistakes that the Fed has made. You know, it's one thing to Monday morning quarterback, but it's another thing to have solutions to the problems, which I can tell you Kevin Warsh does. On top of that, if we actually do roll back the clock to things like the global financial crisis, and you listen to what he was saying back then, history has proven him correct. And that's not just a one-off. That has happened time and time again. And I am confident that if Kevin Warsh becomes Fed chairman, which I believe he will get confirmed, we are going to see history prove him right time and time again, not just as a member of the Board of Governors, but as the chairman.
All right, so let's go into details then. You said you spoke with Warsh in detail about monetary policy. So what kind of changes in philosophy, specifically at the Fed, might we see if Warsh is confirmed?
Well, one is the fact that you don't need to have a balance sheet like they do today. In other words, the Fed owns trillions upon trillions of dollars in assets that it doesn't need to. We're operating the balance sheet as if we're still in the middle of COVID, or we're still in the middle of the global financial crisis, or maybe the long-term capital management meltdown back from the 90s. Whatever the case may be, we are operating one part of the Federal Reserve as if it's an emergency, and then we're operating another part of the Fed, namely interest rates, as if we still have the sky-high inflation from the Biden administration, which clearly isn't the case. Inflation has come way down. And so he understands that you need to essentially unwind the policies that were started with Ben Bernanke and were put on steroids.
Okay, it seems like we're having some technical difficulties on our guest side. So We might continue the interview in a few moments, but for now, let's take a break. Coming up after this, we're going to talk about an Indy car race on the streets of Washington, D.C. this summer. President Trump announcing the Freedom 250 Grand Prix to celebrate America's 250th birthday. Don't go away.
A performance that truly matters for each and every one of us. This is what you've been waiting for. See it at least once in your lifetime. Shen Yun. Get tickets now. shenyun.com.
Hi, my name is Brady. When I was born, my parents thought everything was okay. My mom and dad were so excited to take me home.
I still get goosebumps telling this story. Several days in, his skin started to become very cold and clammy. We noticed that he had become blue around his mouth, and something was just very off.
We packed up as fast as we could. Brady stopped breathing twice on the way to the pediatrician. And that was one of the #1 things that just haunts me to this day.
I was born with a congenital heart defect called aortic coarctation. If my parents waited just one more hour to drive me to the hospital, I would not be here today. But thanks to research funded by the American Heart Association, I had heart surgery that saved my life. But not every kid is as lucky as me, which is why we need your help. Just call the number on the screen or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help. Get people trained in CPR. Get more hospitals certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. And help fund the next medical breakthroughs to help save kids like me.
When you donate to the American Heart Association, you're helping save lives like my son. And now, my son is happy and healthy, thanks to the support of people like you.
When you call with your $19 a month, you'll get this really cool t-shirt as a thank you. Many children die from congenital heart defects. I can't wait to grow up to become a heart surgeon and fix babies' hearts, but until then, I'll keep helping the American Heart Association. So please join me. Just call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org to become a monthly donor and help save lives.
With Select Specs £6 specs, you can get 10 pairs of prescription glasses for just £60. That includes frames, prescription lenses, and delivery free to your door. And what makes this really special is each pair can have a different prescription. So it's glasses for everyone. SelectSpecs.com/£6. 10 frames, all with prescription lenses and anti-scratch coating for just £60. You don't get that on the high street. Right now you can save an extra 5% with offer code CG5OFF.
Motor cars racing down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. will soon be a reality this summer. That's right, President Trump is announcing an Indy car race for the 250th anniversary of the United States.
It's going to be very, very important. We're celebrating greatness with American motor racing. That's going to be the name of the event. It's going to take place on August 21st through the 23rd. And it's going to be so exciting, and I love the race.
The president signed an executive order today to launch the Freedom 250 Grand Prix of Washington, D.C. It will be the first ever IndyCar street race in the nation's capital to be held near the National Mall. It will be free for everyone to watch. Trump also addressed his pick of Kevin Warsh as the next Federal Reserve Chair and his plans for Iran. Listen.
Now sending actually a larger number of ships to Iran. And hopefully we'll make a deal. If we do make a deal, that's good. If we don't make a deal, we'll see what happens.
The president praised Warsh, saying he is the perfect candidate in the whole country. He said Warsh is the most qualified and his nomination shouldn't come as a surprise. Okay, now we're going to welcome back E.J. Antony. He's the chief economist at the Heritage Foundation. So EJ, apologize for the interruption just now. I'll go on to what I had in mind after your response previously. So I wanted you to take a look at this clip of Warsh talking about the Federal Reserve in an interview with Fox Business. Just take a quick listen to this.
I think until there's regime change at the Fed, until there's new people running the Fed, a new operating framework, they're stuck with their old mistakes.
So, you know, Warsh is just one vote if he's confirmed, but Trump, you know, believes other officials will change their minds, whether that's supporting rate cuts or other things. Do you think Warsh himself will be enough to make substantiated or significant changes at the Fed, or would a larger regime change be needed, as Warsh put it?
Well, I think the Fed chairman is a key component to that larger regime change. The Fed chairman has a tremendous amount of sway in terms of the operations of the Fed, who is actually working there. You know, they have 300-something PhD economists at the Fed, all of them making mistakes. I mean, it's absolutely absurd that they're allowed to use the kinds of failed Keynesian models, these Phillips curve models that they do, where they think if there's economic growth, they need to suffocate it to prevent inflation, when we all know it's government spending, borrowing, and printing too much money that has caused inflation. And again, Kevin Warsh really understands these things. Nobody's, I think, got a better grasp of them than he does. And with him at the helm of the Fed, I think you would see the deep structural reforms throughout that institution that are needed to really return it to sound monetary policy. It's not just a matter of setting interest rates. It's not just a matter of one man's vote on the board. This is much deeper and much more systemic.
Okay, let me read you some reactions from U.S. lawmakers here. Senator Thom Tillis says, protecting the independence of the Federal Reserve from political interference or legal intimidation is non-negotiable. And I have one from Senator Elizabeth Warren saying that this nomination is the latest step in Trump's attempt to seize control of the Fed. Can we just get your comments here? Can you address potential concerns of the independence of the central bank and what the lawmakers are saying?
Sure. Well, first off, both Thom Tillis and Elizabeth Warren are just jokes in their own right, if we can be honest about it. And Elizabeth Warren was the one who signed an open letter, by the way, to Jerome Powell, essentially telling him he needed to cut rates and he needed to do it in a big way, not just a small interest rate cut, but a large one. She wanted a 75 basis point cut when Biden was in office. It's only now that Trump is in office that Elizabeth Warren doesn't want interest rates to come down. So please tell me, Pocahontas, who is actually the one being political here? Clearly, it's her. Unfortunately now, likewise with Thom Tillis, he hates President Trump as well, and he is letting his own political views get in the way of the truth, which is the fact that Jerome Powell was asked for information from Congress. He refused to give it. The matter was referred to the DOJ. The DOJ asked Jerome Powell for that information, and it was once again refused. Jerome Powell, as an attorney, he's not an economist. As an attorney, as a lawyer, he should know better, and he knows that if he ignores requests for information from Congress and from the DOJ, it will ultimately result in a formal request, the subpoena that he received. And that's exactly what happened. So he is the one who is politicizing this issue. If Jerome Powell has nothing to hide, if the Fed did nothing wrong in terms of these massive cost overruns with their renovations, then they should simply be above board about it, provide the information that lawmakers and that the DOJ requested in the first place, and the whole thing goes away.
Okay, EJ, well said. That's our time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
A partial government shutdown is likely to kick in by midnight tonight. The expected second shutdown comes after senators failed to pass a package of funding bills, even after President Trump worked out a last-minute deal with Democrats to address their concerns over ICE. NTD's Melina Weisskopf reports.
On Capitol Hill, an overnight vote to avert a partial government shutdown failed to gain steam. It appears that Republican Senator Lindsey Graham emerged as the main obstacle. He protested the vote to try to force the Senate to approve a provision to allow senators to sue the DOJ if their phone records were illegally obtained. It's an issue Graham has been pushing to address for months.
If they can do this to the United States Senator, what could they do to you? Maybe somebody in the Department of Justice doesn't like your post, doesn't like your political activity, and they want to shut you down. They want to find out who you've been talking to. This is scary stuff.
The issue was addressed in the last government funding bill, but House lawmakers repealed it this time. This week's fast-tracked process to avert a shutdown means any one senator can stall passage. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer criticized Republicans for the holdup, though Senate leader John Thune said there were snags on both sides of the aisle. The overnight delay comes after the White House worked to make a last-minute deal with Democrats to address ICE policies and practices.
Well, I've had a very good relationship over the last couple of days with Senator Schumer. We've gotten along very well. We're working on trying to get it to stay open, and we'll see what happens. It's in the process.
President Trump on Thursday announced a deal with Democrats to temporarily extend DHS funding for 2 weeks. The goal, to allow more room for negotiations on how to change ICE policy.
But bottom line, there should be no more funding for DHS without fundamental far-reaching reforms that involve firing the top management, imposing liability on agents that break the law, as well as body cameras, judicial warrants, self-identification, and end to the sweeps.
We're being asked to jettison funding for a department that includes, among other things, the enforcement of our immigration laws and the enforcement of our borders. Something that's been severely compromised in the last few years and that President Trump is working hard to overcome. We're being asked to jettison.
Senators will return today to try to work out the impasse. Even if the bill does pass the Senate today, a short shutdown is still likely. The new package also needs to be approved by the House.
Tonight, I've got to make some tough decisions later this evening on how soon we can get House members back, if indeed they send us the package. I wish that they had voted upon or would vote upon the 12 bills that we passed through our regular order process in a bipartisan fashion. It was quite an achievement.
As of now, House members aren't scheduled to return until Monday. A short-term partial shutdown is highly likely. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
A federal judge today has dismissed 2 counts in the case against Luigi Mangioni, eliminating the prosecution's ability to seek the death penalty at trial. Meanwhile, the judge denied the defense's request to suppress evidence found in Mangioni's backpack without a search warrant. In a 39-page opinion this morning, Judge Margaret Garnett ruled that the weapons charges in counts 3 and 4 don't meet the Supreme Court's definition for crimes of violence, which requires that the defendant use violent physical force at the time of the crime. In a separate ruling, Garnett denied the defense's request to suppress the contents of Mangioni's backpack, citing numerous federal exceptions to the warrant requirement. Some of those items included handwritten notes and ammunition. President Trump is suing the IRS and the Treasury Department for at least $10 billion. He's accusing the agencies of an unauthorized leak of his tax returns during his first administration. The suit alleges the government failed to protect private tax information leaked to the press by Charles Littlejohn, a former IRS contractor. The suit alleges Littlejohn had staff-like access to confidential tax information. Littlejohn was sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2024 for disclosing the records of the president and thousands of other wealthy taxpayers. The new lawsuit says the leak included false reports of fraud in Trump's tax records and argues this portrayed Trump in a false light. President Trump is filing the suit personally alongside his 2 eldest sons, but not in his official capacity as president. The IRS and Treasury Department have not yet commented. Just days after a major winter storm blanketed the East Coast, another powerful system is forming. Winter storm Gianna could bring heavy snow, strong winds, and coastal flooding across the southeast. NTD's Christina Corona tells us more.
New winter storm Gianna is expected to develop off the East Coast this weekend and could strengthen into a bomb cyclone. The National Weather Service says Gianna will bring heavy snow, strong winds, and coastal flooding from the Carolinas to New England. Over 20 million people are under winter storm watches, including residents of Charlotte, Raleigh, Norfolk, and Atlanta. Snow and strong winds are expected Friday night into Saturday in Georgia, the Carolinas, and southern Virginia. Blizzard conditions with gusts up to 60 60 miles per hour are possible in coastal southeast Virginia and northeast North Carolina, while central and eastern North Carolina and southern Virginia could see 6 to 12 inches of snow. Travel could become dangerous with power outages and road closures possible, and coastal flooding is a concern during high tide. Snow will start Friday into Saturday across the southeast, peak Sunday, and move away by Monday. Authorities urge residents to prepare by clearing gutters, stocking up on supplies, and protecting pipes and pets. The warning comes as states are still recovering from last week's storm, which has killed at least 80 people. Hundreds of National Guard troops in Mississippi and Tennessee have been mobilized to help residents stranded by icy conditions, while power outages still affect tens of thousands. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Recovery will take time after the powerful winter storm that knocked out power for hundreds of thousands of people, and federal officials warn scammers are already moving in. The Federal Trade Commission says criminals often pose as utility companies or contractors after severe weather. The agency says such scammers sending calls, texts, or emails designed to steal personal information or money. Some false messages claim service can be restored faster if you pay or click a link. The FTC urges consumers not to respond to unexpected messages and to contact their utility company directly using the number on a bill or official website. Officials also warn legitimate utilities will never demand payment by gift card, money transfer, or cryptocurrency, and be cautious of contractors promising immediate repairs, especially those asking for cash upfront or refusing to provide licenses or written contracts. Our next guest says Iranian women protesting the Islamic regime show extraordinary courage, while the UN, Western governments, and many high-profile feminists stay largely silent. Hear her comments right after this break.
Food. It fuels our bodies, nourishes our spirits, and brings us together. Because we all need nutritious food to thrive.
Food gives me energy and it also helps me focus.
But not everyone knows where their next meal is coming from. And 1 in 7 people in America face hunger. It's tougher than ever for too many of us. But the simple truth is, ending hunger is possible, and it starts with you. Call or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, to help families in your community facing hunger. Feeding America works from coast to coast with partner food banks, food pantries, and meal programs. Your monthly gift delivers food where it's needed most, puts fresh food on the table, and helps kids have healthy meals all year round, even when school is out.
You can see the difference with the kids when they're full. Food is everything.
Please call the number on your screen or go online to helpfeedingamerica.org. Give $19 a month. Your first gift can double an impact. And we'll send you this free canvas grocery bag as a reminder of how you're helping to end hunger for good.
When it comes down to it, it's about taking care of your family first and the loved ones that you need to provide for.
Food donations help me tremendously, and I'm very grateful for the food bank.
I have hope. The simple truth is, ending hunger in America is possible. You can help make it happen. The need is urgent. Call or go online now to helpfeedingamerica.org, and your gift can double in impact.
There is a road laid out for me.
Boxes everywhere. And this is gonna be Addie's room.
I am blind.
You're really gonna like it.
I hope so. Yeah. I know this road is there for me. There is a long way.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Waist down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
I got this.
I know
Okay.
if I'm really free. Take me down to the river and wash me.
President Trump says he wants to talk to Iran's leadership as tensions rise following the regime's actions against protesters.
Have you had any conversations with Iran in the last few days, and are you planning on any?
I have had, and I am planning on it, yeah. We have a lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now, and it would be great if we didn't have to use them. Okay?
Can you say what the message was that you shared with Iranian?
Well, I told them two things. Number one, no nuclear, and number two, stop killing protesters.
The State Department announced yesterday that Secretary Rubio revoked the U.S. residence privileges for senior Iranian officials and their families. This comes after the Iranian regime's deadly response to protesters, as Iran International now reports that more than 36,000 people have been killed. And Iran's foreign minister says Tehran is ready to resume nuclear talks with the U.S. Joining us to discuss is Taylor Hathorn, visiting fellow at the Independent Women's Center for American Safety and Security. Taylor, good afternoon. Always good to have you here. So to start off, I want you to have a listen to what Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said about this yesterday.
Same thing with Iran right now, ensuring that they have all the options to make a deal. They should not pursue nuclear capabilities. We will be prepared to deliver whatever this president expects of the War Department.
So, Taylor, in the backdrop of all this, is a U.S. military buildup in the Gulf with speculation of a potential strike on Iran, right? So where do you see these negotiation efforts going, and what's at stake?
The goal in any conflict is always deterrence, right? So we don't want to come in guns a-blazing just because we have the power to completely wipe out the IRGC. Doesn't mean that this administration is going to take that and run with it. They are always going to try to work for deterrence first. However, I would like to remind people that the Iranian regime and the Ayatollah is responsible for countless American deaths around the world through Hezbollah and other proxies and Hamas. And so they're really not someone that we can negotiate with too well. So I got to give the president and this administration kudos for trying to work with them, because quite frankly, I wouldn't trust anything that they say.
You know, the death toll reported from this Iranian protest is just simply devastating. And but the bravery the Iranians are showing in the face of the regime's clampdown was remarkable in contrast. So in your latest article on EV Magazine, you say the women of Iran are braver than the institutions meant to protect them. I'm wondering if you can talk to us more about that.
I really want to set the stage here and help people understand that these people that are protesting in the streets are really fighting with their bodies and with sticks against a tyrannical regime that is using snipers from forces outside of Iran, by the way. A lot of the people in the militia that they're pulling in are from Iraq or from Afghanistan, Pakistan. They don't even speak Farsi in many cases, and they're assassinating these people in their own country. And so the regime is absolutely wreaking havoc and devastation on the people of Iran. The women that are protesting in the street, I mean, you can look at the video and the footage that you guys are showing. It's devastating. You know, there are men, women, and children that are being murdered at a rate that is higher. And I talked about this in my article. It is a higher daily kill rate in Iran right now than it was in the Holocaust. And that is not by any means to minimize what happened during the atrocities of the Holocaust, but it's to put it into perspective what these people are going through. And really, the Western media isn't talking about it. The United Nations, who has something to say about every single conflict around the world, can't seem to find too much of a voice for the women of Iran at the moment. And it really makes you wonder why. What is it about this narrative that makes the United Nations, Doctors Without Borders, celebrities like Mark Ruffalo, who seems to have some kind of pin that he wears at some awards show for every single person in conflict, that except for the Iranian people?
So you bring up the UN. What do you say to the fact that Iran, once sat on the UN Human Rights Council, and China, one of the world's worst human rights offenders, currently holds a seat?
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the international community. It's embarrassing for the United Nations. And it really puts into perspective why recently President Trump had the United States pull out of over 31 different United Nations subcommittees, because it's a use of our taxpayer dollar. They're not effective. And in many cases, they're bolstering these regimes and their behaviors. I mean, in what world does Iran and China and Russia get to talk about human rights and security around the world? I mean, it's absolutely embarrassing for the United Nations, and they should be ashamed of the work that they do, and they should be ashamed of the fact that they're not following through on their charter.
So, I mean, do you think these international bodies can improve in some way, or has the ship sailed on that? Is there anything, for example, can be done to advance the security of Iranians who are protesting?
I am a skeptic by nature, but I'm also equally an optimist. You know, I would like to be able to have the United Nations and the leaders in the UN come together, much like they did a couple of months ago in their talks, and talk about how they are not fulfilling their mission. That was stated multiple times in every single leader's speech at the UN. We failed, we've fallen short, we're not doing well. Okay, accountability matters, and being, you know, self-aware matters, but what is the next step? You have an opportunity of the United Nations now, not just to impose, you know, feckless sanctions that really don't matter. You have an opportunity to really make sure that the people of Iran are supported. And the world is silent right now. Legacy media is absolutely silent. You know, if this was happening in any other area in the world, would they be talking about it? And the answer is yes. So I think for the people of Iran, they have to be sitting there wondering, why is it that we can have a Islamic regime that is inflicting terror upon not just Christians and not just agnostics in the area, but against Muslims also? Why is it that other people's voices and other conflicts around the world matter, but ours don't matter to the UN?
Just finally, Taylor, President Trump has suggested that his new Board of Peace could potentially replace the UN. What do you think about that? Do you think through his actions, he's giving people more hope than the current global institutions we have in place?
President Trump and this administration are problem solvers, right? So they look at an issue and they're like, something isn't working, so what can we do to make it work? And an institution that is as old as the United Nations, that has shown time and time again that they are not going to put their money where their mouth is. They're not going to step up and do what needs to be done for the international community to make sure that there are no new world wars, that there is global order, that there is not a lack of humanity that is shown in these countries, and that it's not tolerated. And I think what President Trump and this administration is saying, if the United Nations and other world bodies are not going to do their job, then we are going to partner with other nations who have the same values as us: freedom of religion, you know, rule of law, the concept of democracy and democratic privileges and freedoms that we value in the West. A lot of these nations that are on this Board of Peace that have signed on to these agreements are working towards that. Is this idea perfect? Absolutely not. I see holes in it, because I think that requires every single nation who's going to participate in this to really give up something and to kind of analyze themselves and look at what's happening in their own nations and make sure that they're up to par to be able to tell other people how to make sure that they are treating other people well and treating their nations well. So time will tell to see if this effort is effective, and I look forward to seeing the results and the output for that, because I can tell you right now, it's not happening at the United Nations.
Okay, Taylor, always enjoy speaking to you, and I wanted to tell you that was a great article that you wrote, and I encourage our viewers, if they have time, just take a quick look at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
A Chinese hair salon owner accused of financing Hamas terrorists. Spanish police have detained a 38-year-old Chinese national. The suspect is accused of financing Hamas with more than $700,000 through cryptocurrency transfers. During searches, officers seized crypto assets, cash, some 9,000 cigars, jewelry, and more. They also froze several bank accounts with the total value of seized and blocked assets exceeding $400,000. It's not yet clear if the suspect knowingly interacted with Hamas or if he was just an intermediary. China was dealt a blow yesterday in Panama. The country's Supreme Court ruled that a Hong Kong company's contract to operate ports at both ends of the Panama Canal is unconstitutional. The Trump administration has made blocking China's influence over the Panama Canal one of its priorities. Secretary of State Marco Rubio made his first overseas stop in Panama. The Hong Kong government said in a statement that its strongly disapproves of the ruling. Panama withdrew from China's Belt and Road Initiative last year, and earlier this month announcing new joint defense drills with the U.S. The Trump administration acts on multiple fronts: China, Cuba, Canada, and Venezuela, and President Trump issues a warning to the UK over China ties. More news after this break.
Discover the ancient secret to vitality and longevity with Puretang Black Ginseng. Crafted from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng, each root is carefully nurtured for over 2,260 days, undergoing a traditional 9-round handcrafted process of steaming and drying to unlock full potency and absorption. Experience pure, natural energy with Puretang Black Ginseng. Order now at puretang.com.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day, just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth, without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now, Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
The difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always cheesing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one get one free offer goes away.
Buying and selling a home can be really hard these days. That's why who you work with matters. I recently helped a couple buy their dream home even before selling their current one. They were both very busy and didn't have time to sell the traditional way. HomeLight's Buy Before You Sell program was a game changer. They were able to buy and sell on their own schedule. It was so easy and they were thrilled. See how you can buy before you sell at homelight.com today.
An update on trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada. On Truth Social yesterday, President Trump said he will decertify all Canadian-made aircraft in the United States. The president was responding to Canada's refusal to certify jets from Gulfstream Aerospace based in Savannah, Georgia. Trump said if the situation is not immediately corrected, he would impose a 50% tariff on all Canadian airplanes sold in the U.S. The president singled out Bombardier's Global Express business jet, but said all Canadian planes would be impacted. Bombardier said in a statement that it has taken note of the president's post and is in contact with the Canadian government. And the Trump administration took action on several fronts, touching on China, Cuba, and Venezuela. NTD's Daniel Monahan has the latest, including the president's warning to the UK over ties with Beijing.
Prime Minister.
President Trump is warning the United Kingdom against expanding business ties with China, calling the move very dangerous.
Well, it's very dangerous for them to do that, and it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. Canada is not doing well. They're doing very poorly, and you can't look at China as the answer.
Trump made the remarks as UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited Beijing.
Cuba is also in focus under a new executive order from President Trump.
It enables putting tariffs on goods from countries that sell or otherwise provide oil to Cuba. The order says the Cuban regime aligns itself with numerous hostile countries like China, Russia, and Iran, hosting their military and intelligence capabilities. It says Cuba provides safe haven for transnational terrorist groups such as Hezbollah and Hamas. It also says the regime persecutes and tortures political opponents, denies free speech and press, profits corruptly from the Cuban people's misery, and incites chaos by spreading communist ideology across the region. In Venezuela, acting President Delcy Rodriguez signed into law a major reform of the country's oil legislation yesterday. The step followed a phone call from President Trump concerning the nation's commercial airspace.
We are talking about lifting restrictions on Venezuela's commercial airspace so that all airlines that need to come, and investors that need to come can come.
American citizens will be very shortly able to go to Venezuela, and they'll be safe there.
American Airlines confirmed plans to resume service to Venezuela for the first time in more than 6 years. Late yesterday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy rescinded a 2019 order blocking U.S. flights to the country after President Trump directed him to do so. In his directive, Duffy said the continued suspension of air service is no longer required by the public interest. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Many UK-based human rights groups are expressing unhappiness over UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's meeting with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping on Thursday. Joining us now from the UK is Rayma Mahmood, the Executive Director of Stop Uyghur Genocide. Rayma, thank you so much for joining us today. So first off, can I just get your first reactions to Starmer's meeting with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping and what's come out of it?
Thank you very much for having me. So the reaction from me, from many other Uyghur community members, feeling total betrayal and dismay and upset. This week, everywhere the people are commemorating the Holocaust, and where our Prime Minister traveled to China, shaking hands with the men who committing genocide against my people.
So the community there, how is the community feeling? You said you're feeling disappointment. What about the feelings of groups?
As I said, we all feel the same, feel being betrayed. Because when a Labour a party in opposition, they recognized what is happening to my people as genocide, crimes against humanity. And after they came to power, become government, that took complete U-turn. Now, since 2018 is the first time a UK Prime Minister visited China. And when human rights situation is becoming worse, and not only in the region where Uyghurs live, in Tibet, in Hong Kong, and in many places, including the Chinese dissidents as well. And under this kind of circumstances, seeing a UK Prime Minister who is human rights lawyer, shaking hand with those responsible for killings, murder, imprisoning and detaining millions of Uyghur and other Muslim people, it really shameful.
Okay, what's at stake here, and how important is it for the Prime Minister to actually really address these issues? And if he did, what would be the impact of that?
I do believe China should have been held accountable for the crimes they have been committing. It's not like giving them a reward propaganda platform to go there and visit, talking about business. As activist, as someone who is Uyghur, also suffered so much from what has been happening to my people, and I strongly condemn this visit. But of course, after going there, we don't know how much he really managed to achieve. We know when you're talking to Chinese so-called diplomats or the president, it's like you are talking to a wall. They are not going to really take your view. For them, it's what they think matter, what they believe is matter.
Okay, I want to touch on the mega embassy that was just approved ahead of the Prime Minister's visit to China. I know your organization has expressed a lot of concern over this embassy, with fears of expanded transnational repression. Can you just expand a little bit on this issue for us?
First of all, rewarding China, the CCP, this mega embassy, when there are so much warnings against national security and transnational repression and many other things, was shocking. And secondly, as being Uyghur, we suffer most extreme form of transnational repression. So having this mega embassy, that means increased so-called diplomats, those are spies, and also operate illegally in many ways. We did have reports in past years about secret police stations in the UK soil and many other countries. So it's not like fiction. This is a real fear that we know it's real, including Hong Kongers and Tibetans and many people. Also, there's high-tech surveillance that my country, the East Turkestan or Uyghur region, used as a laboratory to develop the most sophisticated facial recognition, voice recognition cameras, and that has been exported to many other authoritarian regimes. Having this mega embassy, I mean that land, that place will belong to China. They could install all these sophisticated cameras, and also will restrict our ability to protest and many other things. So it's really, really unbelievable for the UK government approve this mega embassy.
Okay, Rayma, I know you and your community are very familiar with the evils committed by the Chinese regime. I want to ask you, what would you say to those who aren't very aware of the atrocities and the true nature of the Chinese Communist Party and don't share your concerns? What would you say to this group of people?
I would like to say, unlike Russia's overt military aggression, China advances through subtle, long-term and concrete strategies, uses smiling diplomacy to, masks more dangerous and harder to confront. And we know this, although you don't see the bombs are shelling, in the region where I come from, you don't see people are dying, but they are all dying silently, quietly, and being tortured, being forced to work in factories all around China as slaves, producing the goods that tainting the entire supply chains in the world. The reason the goods are so cheap because they're using forced labor, using slave labor, and we are all supporting by buying these goods. And therefore, we must condemn, we must see China, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, as criminal, as murderous, as absolute horrible regime that we should stand up against.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rahima. I just have one final question for you. What is next for you and your community as you fight to end this persecution of Uyghurs in China?
We will continue collaborate with people like Hong Kongers, like Tibetans. We will never give up, and we still have hope that in the end, the truth will prevail and the evil will, in the end, will fail.
Yeah, I mean, if we've learned anything from history, is that the truth always prevails. Thank you so much for your comments today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Canadian actress Catherine O'Hara has died. According to her agency, she passed away at her home in Los Angeles after a brief illness. O'Hara's career began at the Second City in Toronto in the 1970s, where she was among the original cast of the sketch show SCTV, short for Second City Television. The show featured legendary comedians including Martin Short, John Candy, and Andrea Martin, where she worked with Eugene Levy, who became a lifelong collaborator and her co-star on the sitcom Schitt's Creek. Perhaps her most iconic role, O'Hara starred as Macaulay Culkin's mother in the first two Home Alone movies. She was 71. The Westminster Kennel Club is marking 150 years of canine competition this year. In its inception, it has grown to recognize over 200 dog breeds. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on the history of the event.
Later this month, dogs will vie for the title of Best in Show. A group of hunters founded the event in 1877 while comparing their sporting dogs at a Manhattan hotel.
They put together a dog show that was then what was then called Gilmore's Gardens, and that is the first iteration of Madison Square Garden. And that show had an entry of about 1,200 dogs. It was a huge success, heralded in the press. It was a big deal.
The American Kennel Club Museum of Dog in New York explores Westminster's 19th century roots. Museum director Christopher E. Bromson explains how the show evolved over the years.
And that slowly grew into something a lot more formalized as we kind of grew and recognized more breeds and developed breed standards and created the groups and really created an infrastructure around how to more objectively judge dogs.
Today, the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show is the second oldest continuously running sporting event in the United States after the Kentucky Derby. The 150th annual Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show begins with the Masters Agility Championship on Saturday, January 31st. The show concludes with the crowning of Best in Show on February 3rd at Madison Square Garden. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
Russia agrees to stop striking energy infrastructure in Kyiv. President Trump made the request as many residents are left without heating while temperatures are dropping to 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hi, I'm Susan Lucci. You may know me from my many years on television. I never thought about heart disease until I had my own heart event. I felt this slight pressure in my chest, just slight. I thought, oh, it's nothing, it'll go away. I didn't get it. I did not get it. And a few days later, while shopping at a boutique, that pressure returned, much stronger. It felt like an elephant pressing on my chest. I had a 90% blockage in my main artery and a 75% blockage in the adjacent artery. I was rushed into surgery where I received 2 stents in my arteries. Stents developed through research funded by the American Heart Association. Those stents saved my life. That's why I'm in front of you today, asking you to join me in supporting the American Heart Association by becoming a monthly donor. Call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help fund the next medical breakthrough. Get the next person trained in CPR, the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. I'm so grateful to the American Heart Association. Their research helped save my life. I can enjoy life with my children, my grandchildren, and my friends. Heart disease is America's #1 killer, and your support now can help save your life or the life of someone you love. Give $19 a month with your credit card, and we'll send you this special t-shirt that you can wear to show that you are helping save lives. Please, listen to your heart. The only reason I'm here today is because I did.
Please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org. Become a monthly donor during February Heart Month, and your first month's gift will be matched.
Thank you.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health, my own mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I've never been more devastated than the day I lost my mom. I was depressed, miserable, in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. The chaos that was in me began to subside. I was more focused, clear. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. That's not up for debate. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.